Okay, just a little follow-up video to the previous Smash videos that I've been doing lately. But there were some characters and ideas I couldn't mention due to technical difficulties last time that I wanted to bring up. Like, for Shulk being in the game, now that I've actually gotten a chance to play Xenoblade Chronicles a little bit, I think his chances are pretty good, especially considering that Xenoblade Chronicles was a very critically acclaimed game for the Wii. That, and it seems like Sakurai has thoroughly enjoyed the game, at least from what I've heard. And he tweeted a picture of the Monado. That's the red sword thing that Shulk is holding in this picture, by the way, just for clarification for people who haven't played the game. Plus also, Shulk's voice actor has been teasing a major role lately, but he says he can't really go into detail about that, so it might be that his major role is voicing Shulk once again for Smash Brothers. Another character that I wanted to clarify on is the Chorusman up there, right above Isaac, right there. Rhythm Heaven is a huge game in Japan. Just not so much over here though, because we've only gotten like, what, 1 or 2 games from that franchise? But we've also got the Sneaky Spirits enemy. At least I think that's what they're called. I have no idea. I've never played Rhythm Heaven before, so I have no idea. But apparently one of them has been spotted in Smash Run, and most if not all enemies in Smash Run correspond with playable characters. Well, with the exception of the Subspace enemies from, well, Subspace Emissary that originated in Brawl. But those are pretty much more or less Smash enemies to begin with. So I think that kind of gives them a bigger chance than I thought originally, which definitely boosts their chances more so than what I initially thought, due to them being both Shulk and Chorusmen, or Chorus Kids, Glee Club, whatever you want to call them. I don't really care. I'm just calling them Chorusmen because that's what I've come to know them as. So now I actually have some more reasons for those 2 characters to be in the roster, aside from the Gematsu leak, which lots of people are saying is debunked now just because they had 1 character wrong. And that's pretty much a bad reason, really. The article, I reread the article that showed the leak, and it never said anything about to them all being playable. It only said that they were going to appear, so really, it's not debunked. It's 9 out of 11 right now. Chrom is in the game. He's just not playable. He never said that he was going to be playable in the first place. It just said that he would appear in the game. So I really don't see why people are making such a big deal about it. It's like you're expecting everything to be super perfect or something. People make mistakes. It's part of human nature to make mistakes. But that's probably just another tangent for another time, or for never. I don't know. I'm just improvising all this right now, really. This is kind of like not like the previous Smash videos where I was actually reading off of a script that I wrote myself, so I wouldn't have to stumble on my words like I'm probably doing right now. But anyway, back to my roster. Since this is a roster or a video type of thing, only it looks nothing like my roster. I pretty much stated in it that Falco and Wolf could be phased out of the game. I still kinda stand by that, but I guess I was a bit too hasty. I guess maybe one or the other could return. I'm betting more on Wolf, though, because we need more villain characters for Smash. And after playing through a little bit more Brawl, I realized that it was just their specials that were all that much the same, not all too similar between the three characters, Fox, Falco, and Wolf, and their regular attacks really differed a lot. So I kind of retract my statement of them being carbon copies, or clones as many people refer to them to. Well, actually, that's pretty much the general consensus of what people call them. So I don't know why I even used the term carbon copies. I should have just said clones in the first place. But I guess if, let's say, Falco comes back, I'd like to see his design I have on the right. The one where he's carrying the bazooka, or rocket launcher, or missile thing. I don't know what that thing really is. I'd just like to see that thing become his neutral special. And I guess he can keep kicking his reflector if he wants. Although there's definitely gotta be some changes I'd like to see to his other specials. And definitely to his final Smash. Instead of giving him the Landmaster again, which admittedly it does function differently than Fox's. It moves slower on the ground, doesn't fire quite as quickly, but gets better airtime. But it's still a Landmaster tank, so same for Wolf. But in place of Falco getting a Landmaster, maybe he could instead get his R-Wing. It would work kind of similar to how the Landmaster works, though, only it would never actually touch the ground. It would be like you can float it around the stage in the air, moving it slightly a bit, I don't know, and you can shoot at characters from the sides, or even just charge it across the stage and ram into enemies with it, or even do a barrel roll by pushing either one of the shield buttons twice. Especially considering for the Wii U controllers, the gamepad and the Pro Controller, it has a Z and R button. Well, two Z buttons and an R button. So you can literally press Z or R twice to do a barrel roll. I just realized that now. Oh man, that would be a really nice stealth joke right there for them to do. As for Wolf, I guess maybe switch up his specials a bit so that it's harder to claim him as a clone, because he does play differently than Fox or Falco. It's just that the motions he goes through are very similar. Not exactly the same, just similar. I'm sorry that I pretty much jumped the gun in the previous videos in regards to phasing out both of them, both Wolf and Falco. I just thought that Fox could have benefited from their special moves through the custom movesets. Also, similar to Falco, his Final Smash could be changed to his Wolfen. You know, the Star Wolf equivalent of the R-Wings. It would do something similar, but at least with this case, both Falco and Wolf are, I'm pretty much just throwing them into the mystery space, the triple question mark block above the random button from the previous videos. Those two are in that block now. So, in fact, a lot of the characters on this are in that block right now, too. So we'd get either Wolf or Falco, but not both. I'd like to keep it at a maximum of 3 Star Fox characters, just so then there can at least be some good diversity amongst them. And with Wolf using the Wolfen in a similar manner to how I described Falco using the R-Wing, that would be pretty interesting, don't you think? And it, especially considering, after doing a bit of research, Wolf never actually had a Landmaster in the Star Fox titles. That was given to him specifically for Smash. So it would make more sense to actually represent him using something that he's actually used in games outside of Smash. So give him the Wolfen instead. Some people have stated that Black Shadow has no chance. I kinda agree, especially considering I mostly just put him in my roster just so I could make that Falcon Punch joke. Because, well, I just really wanted to do a Falcon Punch joke with him. But my point towards him being a playable character still stands. He is a blank slate, and again, we could always use some more villain characters in this game. Oops, I skipped over Crystal. Crystal, she would be an interesting staff wielder. Although I mostly only chose the design that she used in Star Fox Adventures because of familiarity towards that version for me. I've never played Command or Assault, so the second design that I have right next to her Adventures design is the other option, where she could probably wield that Gatling gun or whatever it is. But I'd prefer the staff to be her primary weapon for her neutral attacks, and probably use the spells. At least I think she has spells with that thing. I think she can, like, throw fireballs, lightning, or ice. I don't know. Either that, or that's just me imagining characters with elemental properties to their weapons, because considering the suggestion I made for elemental Falcon Punches, with a freezing and shocking one. But still, in fact, you could just mix the two together if you don't like the Star Fox Adventures design. She could have the outfit that she wore in the Star Fox Assault or Command. I'm not sure which one that's from, because apparently both of those games have different designs. But she could have that design that's over there, or in between Ridley's feet. And that sounded very weird now that I said it. And she could wield the staff regardless of which costume she's wearing. Heck, she could probably even have both options available as part of her as an alternate costume. Considering we've already gotten some pretty interesting costumes, like Lil Mac having his jogging suit as an outfit, which I'm guessing which is kind of funny because his intro to battle has him throwing off the jogging outfit, so that would mean that he's wearing two of the jogging outfit. Oh man, I'm really going off on a lot of tangents right now. That's what happens when I'm unscripted. And I'm a lot more chuckle happy. Blaze the Cat. I mentioned this in the video itself. I think it's very unlikely, if not impossible, for another Sonic character to get in. In fact, Sakurai himself has even stated that each third-party franchise will only get a single representative. In the case of Sonic series, we've already got his representative, and that's Sonic the Hedgehog. I just thought that in the unlikely event that we do get a second one, and this is mostly just like my response to all the "oh hey, we should get a second Sonic character" comments in Smash videos I've seen. And I've seen a lot of Smash videos, and that sort of topic comes up a lot. Most people are asking for like Tails and Knuckles to be in the game, or Shadow, even though he's an assist trophy. So I thought, let's go with something that no one else has mentioned so far. So I chose Blaze, and pretty much made up a moveset based on what I remembered from Sonic Rush, because that was one of my favorite games on the DS. Next to the Pokemon games, of course. Actually, it was actually one of my first games for the DS, so that really left an impact on me. So, yeah, and all of her abilities in that game just seemed to line up so well for a Smash moveset. Granted, it wasn't a complete moveset, but I was working with what I could find. But yeah, Blaze was mostly just a joke character, and besides, she's one of the characters that I guarantee will not get in the game, because not only was she in the triple question mark block spot on my roster, that means she'd also have to duke it out with a bunch of other characters, theoretically, or figuratively, whatever you want to say it as. Snake, he's still up in the air. He's neither confirmed nor disconfirmed. He's just not really confirmed yet. I'm pretty sure neither of those two words are actually real words. Deconfirmed and disconfirmed, as the creator of Metal Gear, Hideo Kojima, is really good friends with Sakurai, and from what I've heard, neither of them have really contacted each other or spoken to one another in a long while, so that does seem kind of suspicious that they wouldn't keep in touch like that, especially with Smash coming out soon. You'd think that they'd say, "Oh man, I can't wait to release this game. Do you have any ideas on what we could do for it? I don't know, maybe do such and such," or something like that. Maybe Snake is in the game and he's just gonna be a secret character, and the two of them are just feigning ignorance towards the other, as part of an elaborate ploy to have Snake be playable again. And this isn't the same Snake from just any Metal Gear, it's an amalgamation of multiple different Snakes from the Metal Gear franchise. I mean, he's got the jumpsuit from Metal Gear Solid 2, and the head of, I think, the Big Boss, was it? Well, one of them was Big Boss, and part of him is based off of Big Boss, and the other is, the sneaking suit from Metal Gear Solid 2, the Twin Snakes. But yeah, Snake is still in the air, probably in a plane. Now, onto Mewtwo. Well, I forgot to mention something really important about Mewtwo in the first video. He was originally supposed to be in the first Smash Brothers game, alongside Bowser and King Dedede. So the original 12 was actually originally supposed to be the original 15. Yeah, take that as you will. So if he had been in the first one, then he would have been guaranteed to be in the other, in Brawl as well. In fact, he is one of the characters that was cut from Brawl. In fact, I think he was like one of the last characters removed, because he has the most he's the most completed of the cut characters. Probably mostly because his moveset was imported directly from Melee, so all that would be missing would be a couple of taunts, and maybe a final smash. So yeah, he's been planning to be in every Smash Brothers game so far, so this time, since they have more time to work on it, or at least they have, since they didn't have to split their efforts between the main game itself and the Subspace Emissary, they could easily have fit Mewtwo in and are just not revealing him yet. But yeah, Mewtwo was cut from the original due to memory limitations of the N64, and in Brawl he was just cut due to time restraints, or constraints, whatever you want to say. Now then, for Sceptile, I admit the whole grass, fire, water trio balance thing, from a Pokemon fan's standpoint, makes sense. But from a Smash Bros. Fan I can't speak for some reason today. But from a Smash Brothers standpoint, or fan standpoint, you know what I mean, right? It makes no sense, especially considering in the original and Melee, they didn't have fire, water, grass in either of those. In fact, there was just electric and normal in the original, since we only had Pikachu and Jigglypuff. In Melee, we had Mewtwo, Pichu, Pikachu, and, Jigglypuff again. So that was 2 electric types, 1 psychic type, and 1 normal type. It was only in Brawl that we had Grass, Water, and Fire, thanks to the Pokemon Trainer, who had Ivysaur, Squirtle, and Charizard. I think I might have botched up the order, but whatever. You get the idea. So really, the only thing that Sceptile really has from a Smash standpoint going for it is that it would actually, it doesn't have that much going for it, really. Especially considering that we don't know how far ahead Sakurai has been planning things, so he was making this game since X and Y was still in development, in early development. So the reason why most people thought Pokemon from X and Y was very vague for Greninja was because Sakurai himself actually stated once that he decided that since X and Y were still in the early stages of development, he decided to save a spot on the game's roster for a Pokemon from X and Y, seeing as he hadn't even seen a concept sketches of any of the Pokemon there, and would then choose one based on its recent popularity, which is also why we got Greninja so much later after X and Y came out. They must have started production on Greninja as a playable character much later than X and Y came out. So we don't know how far ahead Sakurai could be planning, or if Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were even a concept yet. I'm pretty sure that they're too recent to be considered. We only got news of their confirmation at, like, was it at E3? Or was it earlier than that? I'm pretty sure it was prior to E3. Probably like a month or 2 prior to it. So yeah, and the game has already been in production since X and Y's concept stages. So now that I think about it, Sceptile doesn't really stand much of a chance to be in the game, Mega Evolution or not. Now then, some people have been stating that Zoroark is actually in a Pokeball. I honestly could not tell, because unless you're talking about the Charizard Greninja trailer part with all the Pokeballs flying by, well, let's see. Hey, yeah, there he is. That's definitely a Zoroark. I guess he's out of my roster then. So just ignore the entire Zoroark section of my video then, since he's no longer viable. It's just that this part went by so fast. But okay, so yeah, Zoroark is out of the question. I just thought it would be an interesting character to have in the game, because then you could play some real mind games with your opponents with its ability of illusions. That and the only 2 regions that have still not gotten any Pokemon representation in Smash yet are Hoenn and Sinnoh. Or, no, not Sinnoh, we've got Lucario for Sinnoh. Hoenn and Unova. Which is also why I suggested Sceptile as well, so that we could get some representation from the Hoenn region. Plus also Zoroark was the star of a movie too, but that's not really all that relevant now, since it's been a few years, I think. Maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe more. Okay, but now, some people were arguing about Bomberman. I guess, yes, he is a bit debatable. I just thought he would be interesting as a character. He would be a third-party character, though, due to belonging to Hudson. And I think I read somewhere that Hudson was absorbed into another company. I don't know which one. Feel free to leave a comment telling me which one it was that pretty much bought out Hudson or absorbed it, because I honestly have no idea. But I just thought he would be an interesting character for Smash. Plus he's kind of iconic, I guess. Let's see. And he's also a retro character. That's also something that Sakurai's been trying to do, is have lots of retro characters in this game. Which also brings me to my next point. King K. Rool. I suggested him not only since we have a significant lack of villains in this game, but also because he's a retro character. Dating back to the Super Nintendo days of Donkey Kong Country. All three of them. And DK64. And Mario Super Sluggers. Although that one I think was a GameCube title. So he's actually been in at least 5 games to my knowledge. So that would be a 5th costume actually, since he had a different design in Super Sluggers or whatever baseball game it was that he was in. And yeah, he's just like Mega Man, Lil Mac, and Pac-Man. He's a retro character. Granted, he's a villain character, but he's still retro. Especially considering it's been, what, 20 plus years since the Donkey Kong Country games were first released? I don't know. Also, a lot of people that, at least I've seen this come up a lot of times, is that people want Roy back in the game. I don't think he has a chance of returning unless it's as DLC anymore, because we've already got Lucina. Now, I know that's probably a bit odd for me to say, but the only difference between Marth and Roy was in Melee was what part of the blade of their sword would deal the most damage. For Marth, it was the tip of the blade, but for Roy, it was anything but the tip. And his sword had a fire aspect to it for some moves. Lucina does the exact same as Roy. She uses everything but the tip of her blade, minus the fire aspect, for her sword slashes. So in a way, she's not a Marth clone. She's a reskin of Roy. I almost called him Ike. Because they both have fire aspects to their swords. Oh man, that would have been a really big bit of confusion there. So yeah, Lucina is essentially Roy 2.0. That is very odd to say, actually. But yeah, Lucina pretty much is the next step up from Roy, minus the fire damage. Let's see. Oh, there's this guy. Ghirahim, or Giram. I usually just call him Giram, from Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and I guess by association, Demise. I honestly completely forgot about him. Personally, he's not too memorable to me. That, and I've only played through Skyward Sword once, and kind of forgot about all the characters in it aside from Link and Zelda. Yeah, so that's pretty much why I didn't mention him. And also someone mentioned in a comment on part 2 that Ganondorf might be coming back in his Hyrule Warriors design, but I'm not too sure about that, considering, like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for Sceptile, I'm pretty sure that Hyrule Warriors might be too recent to draw inspiration from at this point. Unless there's something that I'm missing and that game's development time might have started before Smash 4. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I actually completely forgot about Ghirahim, whatever you want to call him. The guy that turns into a sword that acts really creepy around Link. He does have a nice cape though.